Before we jump into this week's episode of Major Pain, I will remind you that I am not a medical professional. Please do not take any medical action based off what you hear on this podcast without first consulting your doctor.
Medicine itself is kind of nebulous.
My brain is just wired differently.
You're feeling symptoms that the tests aren't showing exist.
People need to hear your story.
Welcome to Major Pain. I'm your host, Jesse Mercury, and we have such an exciting episode today. I am joined by three guests. We have Anthony Lucero and Cole and Michelle Massie, who I'm so excited to talk to. I do want to set the stage this week for what this episode is going to be about, because this is a meeting of my worlds today, which I'm so excited about. Not only do I host this podcast, but I am also the general manager of the Majestic Bay Theaters in Seattle, Washington. And recently we had an inquiry about an indie film, and this inquiry was asking if we'd like to show this film at our theater. And I checked it out, and I just want to share what this inquiry said about the film. It says, about the film, when a father is diagnosed with a terminal illness, he has a race against time to train his disabled son the intricacies of bagging groceries in hopes of him landing a job and beginning a life of independence. This film is called Paper Bag Plan, and I was lucky enough to get an early screener to watch the entire film, and I loved it so much. We have booked a screening of this film at our theater with a Q&A with the writer-director Anthony Lucero after the film, which I'm very excited about. And then I also reached out and said, hey, I host a podcast about chronic illness and disability, and I would love to interview this creative team because this is just so personal to me on so many levels. I love film, and then this is a world that I am a part of and so passionate about. So I'm so excited for today's episode. Let's meet our guests. Let's start with Michelle and Cole Massie. Why don't you say hi to us and tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Hi, I'm Cole Massie. I am the second lead in the film Paper Bag Plan alongside Mr. Lance Kinsey, who I was so lucky to get to work with on this wonderfully amazing project. And this is a dream role for me, and I hope you all enjoy it.
Awesome. And Michelle?
Michelle Massie, mom.
Super mom.
Super mom.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Anthony?
Hi, Jesse. Anthony Lucero. I'm the writer, director, producer, editor, and probably everything in between for Paper Bag Plan.
Oh, wow.
Independent films. So yeah, wear tons of hats to make this.
Yes. Awesome. Let's start with you, Anthony. Why don't you tell us about this film? Tell us about Paper Bag Plan.
Yeah, it's a film that, you read the log line about a father's race against time. And I'll just tell you about the inspiration for the film. It's loosely inspired by my mother, Elsie, and my brother, Eddie. Eddie was born mentally, cognitively disabled. He couldn't walk, couldn't talk. So my mom, 24/7 care for my brother. She fed him and bathed him and cleaned him, and had a very loving relationship between the two. The very, very sweet relationship. If you ever watch them, she'd talk to him, they'd watch TV together. So my brother Eddie could never bag groceries. We would have been over the moon if he could do that. So loosely inspired by my mom and my brother. And then the other half, I unfortunately lost my sister in 2018 to cancer. Yeah, and she left behind her daughter, Sarah, who has Angelman syndrome. And Sarah is now, I think she's about 39 now. So now she's in the care of my other niece, Krista, who watches her, and my sister's husband, Julian. So they care for Sarah now. So anyways, the story was loosely inspired by these two amazing women and their dedication for their children.
Wow. Did you say Angelman's syndrome? I'm unfamiliar with this.
Angelman syndrome, it's not Down syndrome. It's I think Down syndrome is missing a chromosome, and Angelman syndrome is you have an extra chromosome. But Sarah has the mental capacity of maybe a 1-year-old. So she's
And the energy.
Yeah, she's very strong. She loves cake. She loves sweets. So if she sees, something sweet on the table, she'll pull that tablecloth off, and bam, all the dishes, everything will come crashing down. So she's it's like a very big 1-year-old that they're taking care of. Yeah, Angelman's syndrome.
Wow, interesting. So when you're writing this movie, I can only imagine that casting the leads must be on your mind, particularly casting the son, Billy. So how did you go about finding the right actor for that role?
Right, it's very complicated. Very complicated. Trying to find the right actor is complicated, and then you had to be an actor with a disability. I was not going to get an actor, pretending like he's a wheelchair user. It's just not right. There's a bit of authenticity that I had to get in the film. So that was important. So I had to find, the character's name is Billy. So I had to find my Billy. That was first and foremost. So I hired a casting director who specialized in casting actors with disabilities. And it was about 50 actors. They'd send their demos in. And this was right before COVID hit. But so anyways, I didn't find the right actor for whatever reason. And then Cole was the last one. My casting director, Russell Boast, he sent me a picture and he says, I think you're going to like this guy. And I looked at him like, all right, good looking dude. Let's see if he's got the acting chops. And so, and then you sent your demo in, I believe, right? Michelle and Cole, you sent that in and then I looked at it.
Yes.
I think we did self-tape.
Yeah, of one scene. And I was like, all right, let's move to a Zoom audition. And, he had Cole do a few different scenes, and I had him bag as well. I had Cole do some bagging demonstrations. And I'm like, all right, I found my Billy. So once that happened, I knew I could move. Well, I didn't know I could move forward because we had no funding, right? So I was like, oh, I found my actor, but now I need to find the money. So, but anyways, first and foremost, found my Billy. Boom, that was it. And then I started to cast around Cole, had we found an African-American or Asian actor, you'd cast accordingly with the parent. And then, so I cast, so Lance Kinsey, I cast him second to, and then the combination between Lance and Cole was amazing. I remember the first day of shooting, one of our production assistants had said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you cast a real father and son." And then I turned to my wife. I'm like, yeah, all right, this is nice. Okay, if they're working on set here and it seems believable, I think we've done well. So, but everything started with Cole. And then,
that's interesting. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Cole, how long have you been acting?
In the disability space, years of experience acting is measured not necessarily in roles booked, because there are a lot of, how do I say this gently? There are a lot of casting directors who are wary of hiring us. So unfortunately, we can't measure success and time in this industry by roles booked, because we just can't do that. So we have to measure it a little bit differently in the time and the training that we've put in, regardless of how many jobs we get. So, because of that, just yesterday, it was my 28th birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Which is weird because we're the same age now.
So just yesterday, it was 21 years.
Wow. Amazing. So you've just been acting your whole life.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. Michelle, tell us about that.
So my father is a comedy, still with us at 93. He is a comedy writer, but he initially trained as a concert pianist. And so I was always taken to shows at a very, very early age. And he started with Cole when Cole was 4. And he took him to the Hollywood Bowl. I'm like, Dad. Loved it, couldn't get enough of it. And one day when he was 7 years old, from day one, he loved musical theater. So he was watching Pinafore, and he said, he's watching the credits go by on the screen, and he's naming the characters. Like, he's seeing the actor's name, and then he's saying the character. And he goes, and this is the captain. And I go, no, honey, that's Rafe Rackstra. And he goes, Mom, he becomes the captain.
Oh, yes.
Topsy-turvy. He's 7. And then right around that time, he said, shortly before that, he'd said, I want to be an actor. And we were like, mm. And then when he said that, I was like, my goose is cooked. There's no getting out of this.
No getting
This
out.
is where he's going. Because I have been in the industry in post-production for decades and decades. And my husband is in it. He works for Deluxe. And my dad's, comedy. Like, we're all carnival barkers, basically. And I just thought, you already have this physical challenge. Could you have picked, I don't know,
Any other thing?
something that will pay the rent? And there was no shifting him from it. So he got his first job on Glee in 2012. So
cool.
This whole entire time he's been taking classes and doing summer camps and doing all kinds of stuff and community college classes and doing their productions. But his first paid gig was 2012 with Glee, and ever since from there. And I was like, okay, maybe this can be a thing. So
wow, so cool. And Cole, how did it feel when you first read the script for Paper Bag Plan?
So, my grandfather is a writer. So the way I learned to read, and I'm not just talking about reading scripts, I'm talking about reading in general, was by reading television and film scripts. So I have read an enormous amount of scripts. This one in particular, though, was one of the few where I went, okay, this is legitimately good. Usually, like, if there's a character with a disability, they are the terminal one. They are the sort of ill one. And in this case, it was actually the father that was ill.
Right,
And I should mention, actually, it was originally written for a mother with breast cancer.
Oh, interesting.
And at the time, my mother had just been diagnosed.
Oh, no.
With stage 3 breast cancer.
Oh, my God. Wow.
And so...
hit pretty close to home.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
So I worked a lot with her in bringing authenticity to this role. That's what I thought about the script. I thought, oh my God, this is brilliant. And my agent, my manager at the time who got me the script was like, if you don't get this role, I will close my fucking agency. Because she was like, this role is like made for you, like it's right. I auditioned, and Anthony, I very clearly remember this. Anthony stepped back from the Zoom camera, and he went, okay. I didn't know I had gotten the job at the time, but I think, I can't speak for you, Anthony, but I think that was the moment when he knew that his film was gonna...
Well, I gotta have my poker face on when I was casting you. It's like I can't be overly excited and be like, "You got the job, Cole."
Right.
No, gotta keep my poker face on.
Right. But what were... I suppose the question for you is, what were you feeling in that moment? What happened for you?
It's a little scary in that. Okay, it's like I found my Billy. That's fantastic. Now what do I do?
Shoot! Now I gotta do this.
Yeah, it's true. It's like, oh my gosh, I've got this boy on the hook of like, you could be the co-lead in this film. Now I got to make this film,
right?
And it's scary because we had no funding, so the film was self-funded. So
wow,
yeah,
it was still a woman at that point. It was still a mom,
right?
Yeah, it was still a mom.
And you could feel the heart in it when you read it.
I don't know if you want, Jesse, if you want to go into the little quick blurb about financing of the film, but we did a financing for the film. The investor wanted to be in the film, and I was like, okay, we'll give you a part. But then she wanted to be one of the co-leads, and it was just a conflict of interest. It's like, I cannot cut you out of the film if you funded the film, and it would be once we get to that editing stage, it's going to be very difficult to edit if the investor's like, I want that scene back in. So we parted ways, and luckily my wife Kaylohi, she's so generous, she stepped in And she said, I will finance this film. She opened up her bank account, which she had been working for decades to build. And she's like, all right, I'm going to pay for this film and we'll get it done. So, yeah. So without her, this film would not have been
we
made.
love Kayla.
Yeah, this is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I'm so glad this movie exists. It's really, I think, the most authentic representation of disability that I've ever seen. It's really beautifully done. It's so wonderful. How did you find Oscar? How did you find Lance? I mean, he's a recognizable actor. This must have been like a really exciting get for you. And he's so perfect in the movie.
Lance Kinsey is amazing. Yeah, he plays best known as Proctor in the Police Academy films. So I met him more than a decade ago. We were on the festival circuit together. He had a film called The All-Stars. I had a feature film, East Side Sushi, and we kept running into each other. And he was the sweetest guy. He'd be like, Anthony, I saw your film. It's great. I love it. I was like, oh, Lance. I said, Lance. And I saw him in that film. And it's a comedy. And he's only done comedies. But you could just tell Lance was a great actor.
Good dude.
In the moments in between that he's not saying something funny, you could see it's like this guy could do drama if he gets the right script. So wrote the screenplay. I switched it from a mother-son to a father-son. Some of that was influenced by my wife, who she had said, I never see stories of fathers and sons, especially caring stories. It's always like this angst between father and son. So she's like, it'd be nice if you changed it to a father-son. And I didn't want people to make too much of a correlation between this is my mother and this is my brother. I don't want people to think that either. So it's like, all right, it was a good switch. Let's make it a father-son.
Yeah, that's so interesting because something that stuck out to me so much is the very first sequence in the movie where the father is caring for the son. Billy's in the bath and just getting ready for the day. And it's wonderful. It's so real and so beautiful. And I was also thinking about watching that. And Cole, I'm curious to ask you about this. It's such a personal thing to recreate caregiving in that way. How did that feel for you as a performer?
This is what Anthony is so great about, right? One, he wanted my input, which we as actors are trained to be character advocates, right? We are trained to speak up for the best interest of the character. I will tell you, though, that a lot of directors think that it is their baby, it is their vision, it is their whatever, and we just have to sort of submit to that, whether or not we think it's right for the character or not, because the director ultimately makes the final call. But Anthony was so great about, this is your movie, I am trusting you with this role. I hired you for a reason, right? If it looked inaccessible to get in and out of the bathtub, love you, Anthony, that's because it was.
His whole goal of authenticity.
Yeah.
We took him through the bathing process. We have a roll-in shower now, but we didn't used to. So Nick can pop in here for a second. This is my husband, who not only showed how he does everything.
Hi.
That's also Lance's body double.
Yeah,
oh, cool.
That's how real it is. It's literally his father pulling his legs.
Oh, cool. Oh, I love that.
And lifting and all of that. So thank goodness they're the
same size.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
It's super authentic.
Yeah, totally.
They are living in a rental though in the film, so there's no way that he could modify that bathroom for ADA. But there is a bar there in the shower. But that's the only modification he can make. Yeah, he's got the swivel. He's got the swivel chair in the tub.
You know what though, the fact that Oscar couldn't make any accommodations for Billy, even though he wanted to, made it more real, because the idea of the film, I think, Anthony, is that they're living in sort of poverty and sort of
they're struggling.
Yeah, they're struggling, and they really can't get the optimal thing for Billy.
Oh, okay. Can I tell you a little backstory? Actually, since we're talking bathtubs and ADA,
Yeah.
you know, my mom, in her up to 76, she would lift Eddie out of the bed, down the hallway, into the bathroom, into a regular bathtub, into a chair, and give him a bath. And she did that. And
Oh, she would carry him? Wow.
she would carry him, and I wanted to replicate that in the film, but I knew I couldn't get, it's hard on the back. So Lance would have hated me if I had to carry you down the hall and into the
Lance would have
bathroom.
hated
But
you.
that was the reality. And there was a lot of talk about authenticity. I wanted to keep a lot of that from just observing my mom and my brother, but I couldn't. You know, like the opening in the screenplay, the second sentence was, if you look on the bottom of every hallway in the house and every doorway, there are scratches, and that was from the wheelchair.
Wheelchair.
So, but I couldn't
I was like,
do
have you
that.
been in our house? I was like,
Yeah.
how did he know?
Right, but when we filmed it, I couldn't go and replicate that in the house and scratch the bottoms of the door of the hallways, but
Right.
you know, I wish I could have.
Yeah, that's amazing. I actually live in an ADA home, and we have those scratches all over our house. And I've had my own mobility challenges and have been have spent different periods of my life with a cane or with a wheelchair. And you know, that's part of why I love this so much, is because the representation felt so authentic to me. And a big part of the movie is, you know, talking about Billy being self-sufficient and being encouraged to be self-sufficient. And that's what the paper bag plan is. Let's teach Billy to be a bagger and get him a job at a grocery store. That's sort of the goal of the movie. And I just love that theme of, you know, self-sufficiency. Is that something that you connected to, Cole, when you read the script?
Yes. So, employment for people with disabilities. Oh boy, that's a huge. Quite often, we are either unemployed or underemployed, right?
Yeah.
There are jobs where people who have master's degrees but are disabled are making 3 times less than their able-bodied counterpart with a master's degree. The other thing is Social Security disability.
Mm-hmm.
If you get married, they will revoke your benefits.
Mm.
No matter who you marry, or
Correct.
even if they make nothing,
Yeah.
they'll take your benefits.
Yeah, and there's different rules for SSI versus SSDI. I was on SSDI. I actually just found out. I just got a letter this week. I'm going off of SSDI because I'm in a different place with my health now, which I'm so grateful for, where I'm able to go back to work, and that's how I got this job at the theater. But I didn't work for 8 to 10 years in the middle of this journey. So my journey's been up and down, and I'm happy to be in a very stable place right now. But I've been living on both sides of this, which is part of why I love hosting this show so much and talking to other people, is because, there's this whole world of disability, of chronic illness that's happening all around us all the time that so many people are not aware of. And so many parts of that are so challenging, and so much of it is so frustrating and so unfair. And that's what I love about this movie. It's like, let's just live in it. Let's show it. Let's show what it really is. And that's such a beautiful thing. And let's show what people are capable of. And let's tell a story about someone pushing themselves to be capable of something that they never even considered trying before, which is beautiful. It's all about adaptation. And that's what it's all about.
And also, originally he showed a lot more of it in the script, but here's this guy going through chemo. He's a single parent of an adult child who needs maximum care, and he's having to make all these phone calls, and there's no right fit. There's no program that specifically helps his son. And if he works too much or hardly at all, you lose your benefits.
Right.
But the benefits keep you at poverty level. So there's this constant,
right.
This is how we treat the least of us,
Back and
basically,
forth, yeah.
Because you're constantly. And I just wanted to say one quick thing, because Anthony's mom, I'm just so nuts for her, and I just completely adopted her, whether she wanted me to or not. She's my special needs mom spirit animal. This woman did this for almost 5 decades. She's now 93 and still with us and sharp and darling, and we have a little glass of wine together. You know, I just love her. The opening thing where he says 1, 2, 3, Jesus be with me. That's Elsie. That's his mom.
Really? Oh, wow. That's so cool. Yeah, and there's just little touches like that throughout the movie that just bring it that authenticity. Cole, are you comfortable talking to us about your disability and your history growing up? I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Which one do you want to hear about? I've got 7 of them. So.
Oh, 7 disabilities. Oh my goodness.
No. I do, because it's CP, dyslexia, dyscalculia, visual impairment, autism, scoliosis, and there's one more, but I don't.
It's cerebral palsy, autism, visual impairment, and scoliosis.
Well, and dyslexia too, and dyscalculia.
Yeah, dyscalculia. We do, or I've heard dyscalculia or also dyscalculia. We did an episode about that. That's the when numbers don't make sense, when math is very difficult. We did an episode about that recently that was so interesting. Wow.
I was going through your podcast website, kind of sneaking around, and I heard something about that.
Yeah. So I didn't know what that was until we did that episode, which was so interesting. And I also know that this movie has the backing of United Cerebral Palsy, which I think is so special. What does that relationship look like with United Cerebral Palsy?
We reached out to them. We said, we have a lead actor here that has CP. Do you want to check out the film? And we sent it to them. And actually, the president got back to us and said, I love the. He saw the trailer. Then he said, "Can we see the film?" Sent them the film. He said, "I love this. Can I show it to the rest of the chapters of UCP?" And we're like, "Of course." So they had a screening for all the chapters in the US. And so then all the chapters began to ask for it. So we just loaned the film out to whoever from UCP, whoever wants to see it. And we've done a few screenings in person. And we just like to get the film out there and spread the word of there are actors, there are people working with CP, and this is how amazing they are. So they're very happy to push the film and be a part of it.
So cool. Is United Cerebral Palsy, is that a 501c3?
It is, yes.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to let you know that our screening at the Majestic Bay Theaters, we're doing, a revenue split with the producers of the film, which is you guys, which is standard practice, but we're going to donate our portion to United Cerebral Palsy.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Fantastic. I love that.
Yeah. So Cole and Michelle, I'd love to hear a little bit about just your experience as a person growing up with several disabilities at the same time. What has that been like for you?
So my personal experience with CP, mainly, because that's my main sort of overarching thing. I had a great childhood. It was filled with music and art and more literature than I could ever want, because my grandfather was a writer, so he was like, you will learn to read well. So when I was in school, they really did not accommodate my visual impairment very well. They had me read children's books, and I would have to guess what I think the sentence said because I couldn't see it, right? And they said basically your reading level is at the level of a second grader. I thought, well, it's not, because I would go home and on audio CD I would read Huckleberry Finn cover to cover twice in 2 days, and understand all the period language, knew what all the words meant, so it definitely wasn't a reading issue, it was a sight issue for sure.
Yeah.
Originally, I actually wanted to be an opera singer and an actor, so...
Really?
So my grandfather got me voice lessons, and then when we were going through the Italian diction stuff, he very famously came downstairs and started correcting the voice teacher, because he was such a language nerd that he
writer.
That he caught every little, especially in French, because he's French Canadian.
He's not, but your grandmother is.
No, I'm sorry, he's English Canadian.
He's English
Yeah,
Canadian,
he's English
yeah.
Canadian. But no, so he did all that. So yeah,
But he does speak French.
he does speak French, and that's why he was such a stickler for French pronunciation, and so was my grandmother.
Yeah, please don't say coupon in front of my mother.
Just
It's
don't.
coupon, little cuts. What is wrong with you? Coupon is nothing. It doesn't mean anything.
Just don't do that.
Sorry, Mom.
But no, I had a wonderful childhood, and again, it was filled with music and art and literature and language, and so this career, I've done it since I was 7 years old. But as far as growing up in the educational system, yeah, that could be a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I think overall I had a pretty fair childhood.
We had him in regular public school. I am a very firm believer in public school. It became a battle almost immediately. It was constant
fight, yeah.
with I needs this program, and they were programs that they had, like in a locker at Beaudry in the district building, and they wouldn't give it to us. Like everything was a fight because we found out later, don't give the parents an inch because then they will take a mile. So virtually everything was a fight. Like our IEPs, which is Individualized Education Program meetings, which they're supposed to, and this current administration is working really hard to get rid of all of that. It started as the Chandra Smith consent decree, because that was somebody who had just been pushed through the system and never got anything they needed, and it was a huge disaster. Anyway, the bottom line is they're supposed to do this meeting so that each person gets the individual things that you need, but you have to fight and fight and fight and fight. And our IEP meetings were legendary. They would go like 6 hours because I kept saying, no, that's not right. No, you have to have this. No. And then I started bringing in advocates, and then I started bringing in attorneys, and like the money was.
Oh, you started bringing in attorneys. Wow.
Yeah, we brought in an attorney at one point. And then one time the district brought in an attorney and didn't tell me, and I said, you didn't tell me. And the guy goes, would you like me to wait outside? I said, yes, please. They were furious. They hated me so much because they just could not get around. Anyway, the kind of the end of the story is it was a 2-story school. And Cole was in 6th grade at this point.
Yes, okay.
And so they would, when he had to use the restroom, he had a female attendant. So they would take him they had to go all the way to the back where the elevator was, take the elevator down and come all the way back into the front because they had to use the bathroom in the nurse's office because he had an opposite gender attendant. Now, there was one key to the elevator
in the entire school,
on the whole campus. Instead of getting another one and letting each aide have a key to the elevator, the aide would first, when he said, I need to use the restroom, have to search all over to find the key, then come back, get him, take him all the way down to the back of the school, come down in the elevator, wait for the elevator, come down in the elevator, come all the way to the front of the school, get into the nurses. So we kept having accidents. So I finally said, listen, I would like him to use the staff restroom, called an IEP manager. I'd like him to use the staff restroom upstairs. And they said, oh, it's a very old building. There's no, I was like, people didn't pee in the olden days? Like, what does that mean? There's no, and you have an elevator. Like,
yeah.
How can it?
I think bathrooms predate elevators, could just be, I don't know. So I was like, all right. One morning, as my son will tell you, I am not a morning person. And one morning I staggered up the stairs because he had forgotten something. And because I was so tired, I turned to the left instead of the right. His classroom was the first door on the right. There was another door just around the corner exactly on the left. And I went left for some reason. And they were getting ready to paint the school. There was blue paper tape on all of the doors. And the first door, very first door, not 10 feet from his classroom, said, staff restroom.
Of course.
And I stood there like, remember, no in casa in the morning, right? And I'm like just total simple talk. This was before cell phones really were a huge thing. for some reason, I had my camera in the car. So I blinked for a few more seconds. I ran downstairs, got my camera, took a picture, had it developed. Remember those days? And called another IEP meeting. And I said, hi, I would like my son to use the staff restroom. They said, oh, this is a very old building. There's no staff. So I snapped the picture down on the table and said, I would like my son to use the staff restroom. And they just went sheet white. And I said, never. And how do you all sleep? He's been having accidents. Why are you putting him through this? What is the punishment for? So shortly after that, we took him out and we homeschooled him.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is a perfect example of like one of the millions of things that are happening every single day with access needs that are... Yeah, you have to fight for everything. It's so frustrating. And sometimes the answers are so simple and it's just someone's unwillingness to cooperate or to look at life from another perspective, which is so frustrating.
Yeah, we have power over you and you have no power. And we're just going to run your clock out. We're just going to exhaust you because believe me, you are exhausted. It is so hard. But homeschooling was the greatest thing we ever did.
That's where I actually got an education.
Yeah.
I didn't get an education in public school. I promise you that.
You got some. But anyway, the good news is...
Not really, but
we had an amazing homeschooler group. Our group had a young man by the name of Jackson Bradshaw, who ended up dancing professionally with the the Nashville Ballet. We had a fabulously incredible, talented young actor named Darcy Rose Burns, who is, among 10 million other things, she is the speaking and singing voice for Princess Amber on Sophia the First. She is an actual Disney princess. And then we have Cole, who is, full-time working actor. And then we had a couple of kids you might have heard of named Billie Eilish and Phineas O'Connell.
Wow.
It was a good group. It was a
really good group, yeah.
Yeah, we got very lucky.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow. And this also gets me thinking about how every person with a disability or chronic illness, all of our needs are unique. And I think that this is part of the challenge, is that there is no one answer that fits everything.
Right.
And something I love about this movie is that it's a unique lens on a unique family, unique situation. And I think that people look at things like this and often try to equate. It's like, oh, this is the movie about disability. This tells you what you need to know about disability. That doesn't exist. This is a movie about one person with a disability. One person. Yeah. And I'm curious, Anthony, once you cast Cole, once you find your Billy, when you're telling this specific story, did the script change at all to sort of meld to any of Cole's personal experience?
Well, what's interesting, I'll just step back and talk about the casting, because in the screenplay, it didn't say what the disability was, right? It couldn't, if he had CP, then we got to look for an actor with CP. So it was kind of vague as to what the disability was, because my brother had scoliosis and CP. So Cole, as you just mentioned, you have autistic, CP, scoliosis. Like, okay, well, there's, 3 right there. So
which one do you want to match?
But yeah, exactly. He had all 3. So I was like, all right, well, but I didn't know that in writing the screenplay. So I originally wrote that Oscar, the dad, gets a rail system in the house.
A Hoyer lift.
Yeah, a Hoyer lift. And it's on the ceiling and it takes him, and I wrote it as Billy gets into this lift and it takes him from the bedroom all the way down into the bathroom, into the shower. And so, of course, we had no money. And much
so, like Oscar in the film.
Like Oscar in the film. And so I was like, okay, I cannot put this rail system in the house. What do I do? So I talked to Cole, and Cole had mentioned, he's like, well, I think I can get into the bed on my own. And I was like, really? And then your dad was there. He's like, well, hold on, son. I was like, well, can you do this? And Cole's like, yeah, I can do it. Super confident. It's like, all right, well, can I film this? And so I was at your house and you got out of your chair into your bed. And I said, wow, I was like, that is so much better than what I wrote. And so I was like, can we film that eventually? So I changed the screenplay, and it is probably one of my favorite scenes when you get out of that chair into your bed and your dad's completely shocked. Your on-screen dad. But yeah.
And I just want to say, we didn't tell Lance when we filmed it. We didn't tell him.
Yeah, he looks a little shocked as well, but
And you can see him doing the natural dad thing, like kind of going,
Like,
I can't, I don't want to stop him. I don't want to, but I want him to be safe. You can see it in his body.
Because he's also trying to keep the actor safe, too.
Yeah. Wow. My favorite scene is when Billy gets drunk.
I love that.
Do you know what?
Everybody's favorite.
Do you know what? Everyone asked me about that scene. And the way we did it was Coke and water.
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. Yes, I was going to clarify there.
Yes.
And I did not have whiskey. And I have to tell you, Anthony, I'm so sorry, but it was the most horrible thing I've ever drunk in my life.
Yeah, when we did the rehearsal, I was like, all right, Billy or Cole, can you show me Billy drunk? And you did it. I was like, that's pretty sweet. All right. Well, I think you know how to play a drunk person. And then when we filmed it, I mean, the crew was just dying. They were just laughing so much with you as a drunk person. And I didn't have much fun making the film. The film was not fun to make. It never is.
Interesting.
But that was a very fun night. It's and I mean it wasn't fun in that it's just very stressful. Very stressful.
Yeah. Anthony, I'm curious, how many films have you made?
Just one other feature film before this. I've made short films and documentaries, but one feature film, East Side Sushi, and then this was kind of a companion piece to that film. It was a celebration of working class heroes and just trying to get that job. It's just like, I find it so rewarding when you get that job and you make that paycheck. And so this was kind of a continuation of stories that I had wrote that take place in Oakland of people just trying to get a job.
Yeah,
and,
that's so cool. I mean, I'm a content creator. I've made a lot of video stuff over the years. And the fact that you made this entire movie start to finish and you listed off all of your production credits, writer, director, producer, editor, I'm so impressed. This movie is so beautifully made and everything about it is just so well done. And, I'm just sort of hungry these days for movies with real people in them doing real things. There's no CGI. There's no green screens. There's no special effects.
No car chases.
Well,
car chase.
There are not one car chase, but there are special effects. The buzzing power line.
Visual effects.
The buzzing power lines and everything else.
Yeah.
But I have to say, making this film, our van was the real picture car. Our real van was the picture car. It's a 2009 Honda Odyssey. And she is on her last legs.
We talk about the stresses of why it was so difficult to make, and that their car was smashed, and while it was parked in front of their house.
Yeah, we were getting ready to go to location to go to the Handy Market.
So quickly, just very briefly, the car was taken out of commission, and I couldn't believe it because a lot of scenes took place because the car is an extension of Oscar and Billy. It's like, it is what gets them out and gets them around the world. It's a very specific van that can hold a wheelchair, and that is it's somewhat of a lifeline. And it was sort of a third character. And so I had written all these scenes that take place in the car, around, or in the van and around the van. And when Michelle told me that the van's been wrecked and smashed, I was like, oh my God. So, I had to rewrite scenes that did not take place in and around the van, and I was scrambling to try to find new locations, find a new van, and all that. But this is what happens when you don't have much money to make a film. You have to figure it out,
Yeah.
And sometimes it does make it a better film when you do figure it out. It's like, oh, that was better than what was written in the screenplay. So you do get those happy accidents.
Yeah, so cool. Well, Anthony, you and I are going to be talking again live in front of an audience at the Majestic Bay Theaters on October 5th at noon. So if you're in the Seattle area and you'd like to come see this movie, we're going to watch the film and then have a Q&A live over Zoom with Anthony right after that, which I'm so excited for. I'm also so excited to have this conversation to be able to share on the Major Pain podcast, getting to know you all a little bit and hear more about the movie, and Cole and Michelle getting to hear a bit about your personal experience, which is really, really special. Last question for you. What are your hopes for the future with this film? Anthony, as the creator, where do you hope that this goes? And then Michelle and Cole, I'm curious, Cole, like, what are your hopes that this brings to you as a performer, maybe opening up new opportunities in the future? Where are you hoping to go? Let's start with Anthony.
Gosh, I hope every person around the world sees the film. I think it's the same hope that a lot of filmmakers have. I want Cole to hold that Oscar is what I want. That's what I really want. And, and beyond this film, I want Cole to be a working actor. I want him to be hired, and I want him to be in more films. That is my dream.
Yeah. Cole, does that line up with your dream as well?
Yeah, I mean, I love what I do. I wouldn't have spent 21 years in this business with all of the barriers and all of the, if I can say this, all of the crap that is involved with being an actor with a disability. That is changing a little bit. I just want to mention that. But, we're still, that is changing a lot, but we're still sort of on the outskirts. But yes, I hope to see that this film is incredibly successful. And, I hope that it doesn't just become a story of disability. It becomes, because that's really a universal story.
Mm-hmm.
It's truly, Billy, yes, he does have a disability, but it doesn't define his personhood. He's still a person. He still has his own likes and dislikes, which I had to do a lot of research on baseball for this movie because I personally know very little about baseball.
Same. And the friend of yours in the movie that you go to the baseball game with, I've seen her in The L Word. She's amazing.
Yes.
What's the name of that performer?
Jillian Mercado.
Mercado.
I just want to shout her out because I love her and I was thrilled to see her in this movie.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And Michelle, you must be so proud of your son to see him starring in a feature-length movie and to have the movie be so beautiful on top of that. Yeah. It's just so special.
It's amazing. And the special parenting needs journey, I always describe it as crushing lows and nosebleed highs. The highs are made so much higher because they had to overcome so much more. And you never even thought, like when they're doing surgeries and therapies and by the way, he's going to be in a future film starring you. And you're like, what? So it's amazing. And not only do I hope, obviously, that he gets more roles, but it was such an absolute genuine pleasure. Again, I've been in the industry for a very long time to work with Anthony and Lohi.
Yes.
It was like, and that's just what they created on set was like this, ooh, we got our dad's backyard, let's do a show of our own, and everybody's pitching in and doing everything to the 4:00 in the morning in that store because we had to leave it the way we found it. I see Anthony on his knees and he's turning shampoo bottles and deodorant, and I'm like, go direct something. I can turn shampoo bottles. So yeah, but everybody just did everything and happily. And, we got to do this. We got to get this going. This is going to be so great. This is going to be so. So when you get into this business, that's what you are looking for. And you don't usually find it. So to get it on this set was just an absolute extra bonus.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And like I said, if I can jump in here really quickly, as an actor, to have your input not only wanted, but literally change the script for the better is
pretty cool,
extraordinary, and it was already a really wonderful script.
Yeah,
just the way that Anthony had written it.
Well, but I'm sure that people are going to want to watch this. I mean, if you're in Seattle, I'll be there at the special screening. Come say hi. But for anyone who's anywhere else other than Seattle, how can they see this movie?
It's playing all over the country. Actually, we maybe have about 26 theaters around the country. It's going to start it off in the Bay Area, the Grand Lake Theater in Oakland on the 12th. But if you go to our website, bluesunpictures.com, and there's a link right there, and it says where it's playing. You can click it, and you can see all the cities that it's playing for the next 2 months through end of October.
Perfect. I'll put that link in the show notes for this
Thank
episode.
You.
This has been so fun, so special, and just for me personally to be able to talk to the people who made this movie that I just loved is really, really exciting. So thank you all so much for sharing your time with us, coming on the Major Pain podcast. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse. It was a real pleasure.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Major Pain. I'm Jesse Mercury, the creator of this podcast, with support from Trisha Schmidt and Casey McKenzie. Artwork by Egg Salad Salad. Our theme music is the song Time Machine from my synth-pop album Sci-Fi, now streaming everywhere. Join our community on social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, all at Major Pain Podcast. If you have questions or comments you'd like to share with myself, our guests, or our listeners, send an email to majorpainpodcast@gmail.com. You can also head to our website to learn more about this show, support its creation, or leave a comment on any episode at majorpainpodcast.com.